on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Good evening and welcome. It's Wednesday, 1st November 2023. Peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. On the news this evening, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike vows not to surrender political structure in Rivers State. Governor Fubara assures political crisis will be resolved. Court reportedly restrains Rivers State Assembly principal officers, others from further impeachment actions against Governor Fubara. Court grants bail to Rivers NYCN chairman, others. Rivers Chief Judge to conduct jail delivery exercise. Police in Imo State says NLC president in custody. On the foreign scene, Gaza crossing opens for injured people, foreigners. I am Constance Mega with the news. Former Governor of Rivers State and now FCT Minister Nyesom Wike says he will not be intimidated into surrendering the political structure in Rivers State and warned against any attempt to tamper with it. The former governor said this after a closed-door meeting with members of the PDP Governors Forum today, led by the Governor of Bauchi State, Bala Mohammed. He said that the impeachment move against Governor Siminalayi Fubara is not equivalent to a military coup, but a provision in the Constitution. While the former Rivers State governor also dismissed rumors of interest in money in Rivers State. Earlier, the chairman of the PDP Governors Crisis erupted in Rivers State on Monday after the State House of Assembly began an impeachment proceeding against Governor Siminalayi Fubara. In the meantime, Governor Fubara has assured Rivers people that the challenges witnessed in the state will be resolved. Well, the governor said this today when the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Christopher Musa, and his team visited him at the government house in Port Harcourt.
I'm really happy to see the whole family, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force in one package. And I'm saying this because they've been very, very helpful. If you don't love us, you don't love me, maybe with the incident that happened in the other, we wouldn't have bothered coming here. For our dear state, a few things must have going on. Everybody is wondering what is happening, what is not happening. There is nothing wrong if a father and a son has a problem, if there is any problem. But I don't think there is anything. Whatever it is, I will definitely resolve the issue.
Well, Governor Fubara also thanked the military for their efforts in tackling insecurity in the state.
Thank you for taking these pains, going from one state to another that are having this election in a couple of days, and to put all the right things in place. Military is known for discipline, and I strongly believe that this off-season election is going to be one of the best transparent elections. To make sure that this election is conducted in a manner that will reflect that the people have voted and voted for who they want.
Earlier, the Chief of Defense Staff, Major General Christopher Musa, said he is on tour of military formations in the state. He also spoke on steps taken to tackle illegal oil activities and rid the military of economic saboteurs. In the meantime, reports say Justice Ben White of a state high court in Isiokpo, Rivers State, has granted an interim order restraining the Rivers State House of Assembly, its Speaker, Deputy Speaker, and Clerk from carrying out any impeachment actions against the Governor of Rivers State until the determination of the motion on notice. The Chief Judge of the state was also restrained. The matter was adjourned to 14th November. A magistrates court in Port Harcourt has granted bail to the state chairman of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYCN, Chijioke Ihunwo, and 119 other defendants. The court also granted bail to the state legal advisor to NYCN, Chigozie Emem, on self-recognition. Now, the court gave a bail condition of 100,000 naira to all those arrested. Correspondent Emeko Tuka reports that the defendants are standing trial on an alleged 5-count charge of conspiracy, causing riots, damaging the house gates of the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, unlawful assembly, and causing breach of public peace. They all pleaded not guilty. Now, the presiding magistrate, Gift Amadi, adjourned the matter to 5th December for trial. Lawyer to the defendants, Haya King, spoke to newsmen.
What transpired in court is what I would call a malicious prosecution, where people that had constitutional right to protest, constitutional right to express their anger They were rounded up by Nigeria police, something that we thought has come to pass, but they were rounded up again, about 121 of them, and they brought to court this morning, and they couldn't even sustain their charge. They charged them for unlawful assembly, rioting and all that, but as God would have it, and the law too, they have been granted bail. We are presently perfecting the bail, and they will go home. Today they will go home. It's a bailable offense.
Police have denied deliberately attacking the Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara on his way to inspect the burnt section of the State House of Assembly on Monday. A statement by the spokesperson of the Rivers State Police Command, SP Grace Iringekoko, said the police were surprised at the governor's visit to the scene because they were not informed of his visit. The statement said the DC operation quickly took steps to ensure the governor's protection and safety. Meanwhile, elder statesman and former Senator Andrew Uchendu had this to say on the statement by the police in Rivers State that it did not deliberately attack the state's governor.
In a riotous situation, I would expect that the governor shouldn't expose himself to such level of risk. He should have taken a more precautionary step than to expose himself to danger. I did not expect what I saw to take place, and therefore nobody should start denying what has been properly recorded. Again, we would like to know who was really firing at the governor.
The Senator Uchendu, who spoke on Channels Television, called on Governor Siminalayi Fubara to address Rivers people in a statewide broadcast.
A lot of things have been pushed through the social media, and you don't know what is really the correct thing. I will advise the governor to speak to Rivers people in the statewide broadcast. That is what we need now. And the facts must come from the governor who has been elected, at least as of today. Siminalayi is the governor of Rivers State. That's one position that I'm sure of. We have had enough of rubbish in our state. If the current situation is anything to go by, this is the time that Rivers people must come together and take a common position for the development of our state.
In another development, a constitutional lawyer, Chukwuma Chinwo, says the resolutions reached by the River State House of Assembly, led by its Speaker, Martin Sameole, at the Assembly complex, and those reached by the removed House leader, Edison Ehie, at the government house on Monday, are illegal. Mr. Chinwo, who spoke on Nigeria Info FM's Hard Facts, said the timing of the sitting at the Assembly auditorium and the one at the government house are unlawful.
Apart from the venue, there's also parliamentary time. They can't sit before or after the parliamentary time. So in this case, the Ehige group sat in government house, questionable. The Martin Sameole group started sitting before parliament, even before workers in the civil service came to work. That's another question. When people are breaching the law, they're almost like thieves. So it's like two kind of thieves who couldn't keep the rule. So no group has a bona fide claim now to do the right thing. None of the groups actually followed any procedure as proper.
In the meantime, a lawyer, Cheta Mwala, says the political unrest in Rivers State followed unmet demands by the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike. The activist, who spoke on Arise Television, alleged that the refusal of Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara to remit 25% of the state's allocation to the FCT minister, who is his immediate predecessor, caused the ongoing face-off. Well, he also alleged that the FCT minister demanded that 25% of all allocations coming into the state should be given to him. Well, elder statesman Anas Saraibe also spoke on this.
The former governor is the one who decides what happens to the fake money. The former governor is the one who decides what happens to the internally generated revenue. The former governor will tell the governor not to travel. The governor must take permission from the former governor for every step. And this boy has been so loyal and has been doing everything the man asks him to do. A situation where you appoint 16 commissioners, the present governor can only nominate one, while the former governor will appoint 15. It's not done in any society. A situation where you have more than 17 advisors, and all of them were decided by the former governor.
Still on this, the governorship candidate of Accord in the 2023 election in Rivers State, Dumo Lulu Briggs, says he is saddened by the news of the damage to the legislative chamber of the Rivers State House of Assembly. But Mr. Lulu Briggs said the current political crisis is unnecessary and called on all sides to sheath their swords immediately to allow peace and the rule of law to reign. He advised the leadership of the State House of Assembly to put the interests of the state and its constituents above their personal interests. He said the State Assembly should not be used as a platform for destabilization. He also called on Rivers people to pray for the state and its leaders, even as he urged the Nigeria police to maintain neutrality and ensure the absolute protection of life and property in the face of the current political crisis. In another development, the Rivers State Chief Judge, Justice Simeon Chibuzamadi, will conduct a jail delivery exercise at the Port Harcourt Maximum Correctional Center tomorrow. A statement by the Chief Registrar, High Courts of Rivers State, David Ihua Maduenyi, said the exercise is in accordance with Section 34 of the Rivers State Administration of Criminal Justice Law 2015. Well, the statement said 69 inmates were released from the Port Harcourt Correctional Center on 25th and 26th of September by the Chief Judge. Still to come, police in Imo State says NLC president in custody. Stay tuned.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Thanks for staying with us. And now to the rest of the news. The widow of one of the victims who died from an electrocution incident while putting up a billboard for a church along the Ubirikwere axis of Port Harcourt, Ukamaka Wisdom Nkemjika, says the 200,000 naira compensation being paid by the pastor of the church is poor. Well, recall that 5 persons out of 9 were electrocuted and died when a billboard they were putting up for a church touched a high-tension wire. While Mrs. Wisdom Nkemjika, in an interview, called on the pastor to take responsibility for the education of her 3 children who are now out of school.
I hear say they don't pay some families that are compensating those people that got injury and people that lost someone. They said the people that lost someone, they will pay them 200,000. The people that got injury is 60,000. We have not been able to see the pastor all this while, and the pastor have not seen us. The 200,000 cannot go anywhere because we know how much we bought casket. No business for myself. The children is at home, no school. Then my rent is almost at the door. So 200,000 naira, very, very poor. What I need the pastor to do is to come out and take the responsibilities.
As you may know, the barricade of the River State Signage and Advertisement Agency, RISA, on the church premises has been removed and church activities resumed. It was gathered that the assistant pastor who was earlier arrested has been released. Moving on now, the Imo State Police Command says President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, Joe Ajero, is in protective custody. The command spokesperson, Okoye Henry, made this known in a statement. Well, as you may know, Mr. Ajero was arrested in Owerri, Imo State earlier today during a protest by workers in the state over an alleged abuse and violation of their rights by the state government. The organized labor is now threatening to go on a nationwide strike if the NLC leader is not released by the end of today. Meanwhile, the NLC Head of Information and Publicity, Benson Opa, in a statement says Mr. Ajero has been rushed to the Federal Medical Center in Owerri after he was attacked. He described what happened to the NLC leader as an act of abduction and attempted murder. President Bola Tinubu says ministers in his cabinet will only retain their offices based on their performances, which will be reviewed periodically. President Tinubu said this when he declared open the 3-day cabinet retreat at the State House Conference Center in Abuja. He challenged his 48 ministers to deliver on their responsibilities or get sacked. The Senate today approved the appointment of Shaka Chira from Taraba State as Auditor General for the Federation. The Senate also approved the appointment of 7 of the nominees of President Tinubu as resident electoral commissioners. The remaining 3 nominees were not present for screening. In business, barely 24 hours after seeking the approval of the 2.18 trillion naira supplementary budget, President Bola Tinubu has asked the Senate to approve another $7.8 billion and another 100 million euros borrowing plan. In entertainment, singer Thames has recalled the time she was jailed for 2 days in Uganda. She said she cried thinking she was not going to come out. And in sports, Super Eagles and Napoli forward Victor Osimhen has been nominated for the 2023 CAF Men Player of the Year award.
And now, we bring you news from around the world.
Ambulances carrying seriously injured Palestinians have crossed from Gaza into Egypt for the first time since the war between Israel and Hamas began. At least 320 foreign passport holders have reportedly also been allowed to leave via the Rafah crossing. Well, Gaza's borders have been closed since Hamas' attack on Israel on 7th October. Western officials say Rafah is expected to continue opening for a limited time periods to allow foreign passport holders and injured civilians to leave. And that's the news. But before we go, let's take a look at the highlights. On the news this evening, you heard that the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, has vowed not to surrender his political structure in Rivers State. Governor Siminalayi Fubara has assured that the political crisis in the state will be resolved. A state high court in Ishokbo has reportedly restrained the Rivers State House of Assembly, its principal officers and the chief judge from further impeachment actions against Governor Fubara. A magistrate court has granted bail to the Rivers State NYCN chairman and 120 others. The Rivers State chief judge will conduct a jail delivery exercise tomorrow. And the police in Imo State say NLC President Joe Ajero is in protective custody. On the foreign scene, you heard that Gaza crossing has opened for injured people and foreigners. The news was edited by Martha Okerenkem. You can see pictures and watch videos of news stories when you like us on Facebook and follow us on X at Nigeria Info PH. On Instagram, it's at Nigeria Info FM_PH. And for any eyewitness reports and breaking news, text and send your WhatsApp pictures and videos to our news desk line on 080-625. Remember, peace is the path to the prosperity of a nation. Let peace reign. Constance Mega. Thank you for listening. Good evening.